Hello, good friend. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Hey, we made it through. 2022 was such an amazing year, and I've just been thinking about it, just fully grateful and blown away by just how wonderful it is, the people in my life, what was achieved, potential it spoke to. I'm really happy. And I have no doubt that this year is going to just be an extension to that. In a nutshell, 2022 was one of the best years of my life. I got to date again, which is really nice. Came out of my comfort zone a little more and literally made room for someone in my life, in terms of my space and everything. I have some very interesting views when it comes to relationships, and one of them includes not cohabiting with my partner. I'm also not really keen on marriage, so meeting someone who actually understood that and made room for those ideas and thoughts was really interesting. So shout out to him for that. It was also very interesting in a relationship that allowed me to not only challenge certain views and ideals and thoughts I have about relationships in general, but that allowed me to ask myself what I really want and to appreciate the fact that when you have shared values and principles with someone, that it functions better, that you have a healthy relationship, and that you can do almost everything and still not have something work out, but you appreciate the time that you have with someone and you gracefully move on when it's time. But really one of the most interesting and fulfilling relationships I've ever had. Then the year itself was just amazing in terms of the friends and family who've lovingly shared themselves and their time with me. We got to hike, we got to travel, we got to work together, do events and do weddings. That was amazing. And it's something that I'd like to see more of. To the difficult conversations that we had, it really was such an amazing thing to see that my friends in particular, because with family it can be easier. With friends, not so much, because I've seen that friendships tend to skate on the superficial because it's safer, and it's very rare to actually delve deep into the parts of a friendship that maybe are no-go zones or that are sensitive topics or difficult topics. And when you have friends who are willing to delve deep enough to touching on the difficulties of the friendship, it really is something that I think is amazing, and I'm really grateful for that. That honesty, that level of honesty, that wanting to do whatever it takes to keep the integrity of the relationship and wanting to maintain that, because that's what it is. It's maintenance. It's not always easy. It's not always supposed to be fun. It's not always supposed to be exciting or whatever. But I appreciate that, and it really means that we've added another level of our sisterhood and brotherhood, and I'm really grateful for that. To the hikes, thank you so much to my hiking squad, my hike mates, who made it possible to have quite a few hikes last year. That was really one of the highlights of my year, being out in nature and just soaking in all of that, the sunlight, the water, and putting yourself in that situation where you challenge yourself to take on a mountain even when you don't feel like it, when it's cold, when it's hot, and when your lungs are like screaming at you and you can't bear to climb another freaking mountain, but you do anyway. That I really appreciate. And taking on interesting work projects, working with friends and family, that was nice. Making some money, hello. And now that we're in a new year, I just look forward to more growth, more meaningful challenge and struggle. I don't believe in just dealing with difficult times for the sake. I think it's pointless and it serves no purpose. There's no point to it. So to meaningful struggle, to meaningful challenges, to dealing with problems that actually build on and add on to something great, in relationships at work, in our friendships, in life in general. And to being open to learning to detach. So I think in about 2008, 2009, I started reading a book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. One of the best books I've ever read. And just on spirituality and awakening. And 3 of the principles that have lived with me throughout the years since I started reading the book were detachment, non-judgement, and inner-nonresistance, which is something that I've practiced actively as a minimalist and as someone who is spiritual. I'm not religious, but I really truly believe there is a thing that's bigger than us, that carries us through life and that supports us in our being. And detachment is our ability to just detach, to separate ourselves from whatever is happening and from the people in our lives. Because as much as we try to find ourselves in the things that we do and the people in our lives, we are still very much separate entities. And I learned that you don't make people your world. You don't make things your world, because you can lose things. You can lose people, which is a part of life. You know, life is gradually a process of losing things and losing people, because we came here to experience it all, not to possess it, not to want to have it as, oh, it's mine, but to appreciate it for what it is, a separate entity that lives alongside you and apart from you, but with you, that you appreciate when you have it. And that detachment allows you to, as Maya Angelou would say, love it. I love you, but go, do your thing, be yourself, you know. So detachment is a big part of my life. Non-judgment, being able to take something for what it is, not labeling anything as good or bad, evil or angelic or whatnot. And I've just experienced many things in my life. I've dealt with many people across all types of backgrounds, and I'm very much convinced that labeling just limits your experience of understanding certain situations and certain people, and labeling the person limits your understanding of who they are and maybe why they do certain things. It's something we should put into perspective, and can be contextual in some cases. We should learn not to judge people and label them, because it limits our ability to get to know them, to get to experience them, to get to experience things as well as deeply as we can, and as honestly and authentically as we can, because now we've drawn a line. So another big one for me, inner-nonresistance. So this one, from my understanding and from my experience, means not fighting things, accepting things as they are. If you feel sad, feel the sadness, let it wash over you, and let it numb every part of you. If you're feeling anger, feel the rage and be upset, and let people know when they've upset you. And when you feel happiness and joy, allow yourself to completely feel it without fighting that feeling, without resisting. Because it's with the resistance that we now create certain barriers and can't allow ourselves to experience things fully. And we then start blocking things and start putting things in certain closets or certain, in certain rooms, and locking them and never dealing with them, because we don't want to have to experience that pain. And it becomes difficult because we're resisting. resistance is when we start building, I think, trauma, because we don't allow ourselves to feel certain things through. And of course, once again, this is just in general. Of course, certain things need deep therapy, and you can't just get through it with inner non-resistance. But what has worked for me, especially in situations that were then maybe extremely difficult, is not resisting and allowing myself to feel through everything and dealing with that, and not trying to force my way into things. If I wasn't ready to have a relationship, or if I wasn't ready to let go of someone, then accepting that and then letting go when I was ready to, and getting into a new relationship when I was ready to. For example, it could be with jobs, not ready to let go of a certain job up until you are. And maybe with friendships as well, not ready to let go of a certain friend until you are. Death as well. So it's a layered thing, and it's not something that can be covered in specifics right now. But those were my 3 anchors, and are my 3 anchors: detachment, non-judgement, and inner non-resistance. And they've allowed me to accept that we're all different, that we have to find ways of accommodating people as individuals, and not expecting a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach or behavior from the people that we love. That also tells me that the way that people think and what they do and how they approach life, in most cases, has absolutely nothing to do with you. How someone chooses to behave and why they do things speaks more to their past experiences and their coping mechanisms than it does to, for instance, their need to want to hurt me or offend me or stuff. And so I'm able to remove myself from that and see it for what it is, and not try to personalize it. So yeah, that's something I realized about detachment, non-judgment, and inner non-resistance, that you are able to go through things and experience things from a conscious point and accept actions and behaviors for what they are, not personalize everything. So that's more of what I want to carry into this year, and spending even more time by myself as a singleton now, creating more content, challenging myself with doing new work this year. Teaching has been fantastic. It's been amazing. It's brought me into contact with some of the most amazing people throughout Asia, throughout Europe and the Americas. And I have absolute gratitude and admiration for so many of the people I've come across through teaching English online as a corporate English trainer. So yeah, big one there. Thank you so much. Now it's a question of what's next. I guess we'll talk about that in the next one. But thank you so much for tuning in. I love and appreciate you guys. It feels good to do the things that we love and to do it with the people that we love. And I love you. Genuinely, I do. I'll check you on the next one.